All right, today we're going to dig into an idea that could completely change how you bring new people onto your team. We're talking about shifting onboarding from just, a boring checklist into a real strategic advantage. So let's jump right in.
So let me just ask you a question, especially if you've ever managed a team or heck, even started a new job yourself. Is your onboarding process broken? I mean, really think about it. Do new hires feel connected and confident, or are they just lost, swimming in a sea of paperwork? If that question makes you a little uncomfortable, well, you're definitely not alone. The data here is pretty shocking, actually. Only 12% of employees strongly agree their company does a great job with onboarding. Just 12. That means a whopping 88% of companies are failing to make a great first impression. That's a huge missed opportunity.
And what this really points to is a massive disconnect. You see, onboarding should be a launchpad, right? It should get people excited and ready to contribute. But for so many, it just feels like an administrative chore, all about policies and passwords instead of people and purpose. So, what's the actual cost of getting this wrong?
Well, it turns out the stakes are incredibly high. The difference is just black and white. When companies get onboarding right, they see 82% higher retention and 70% more productivity. But on the flip side, get it wrong, and you're looking at disengagement, total confusion, and people walking out the door before they've even really started.
So, okay, how do we fix this? How do we close that gap? Well, the material we're looking at today suggests a really powerful solution. Something that can be a genuine game changer, and that's cross-training. Now, when we talk about cross-training during onboarding, we're not talking about making your new accountant learn how to code. It's much simpler. It's about intentionally exposing them to different parts of the company, the people, the workflows, the challenges, so they can build a complete mental map of how the whole engine works, right from day one. This is the huge transformation we're aiming for. You go from that old, siloed process that just creates confusion to a new experience that's all about connection, active learning, and maybe most importantly, giving the new person context for why their job even matters.
So what happens when you make this change? What are the actual results? The source material lays out 4 huge benefits, or as we're calling them, the 4 big wins. Okay, the first big win is giving new hires a real, holistic understanding of the business. So instead of just learning their little piece of the puzzle, they get to see the whole puzzle box cover.
And this works because, it gives them that big picture view. They start to see the entire value chain, from an idea all the way to a happy customer. It totally demystifies what those other teams are doing all day, and it builds this systems thinking mindset from the get-go.
The second win? This is one every manager is going to love. We're talking about faster productivity. Plain and simple, it's about shrinking that ramp-up time so a new person can start making a real impact sooner.
And we've actually got a number for this. The data suggests that a structured approach here can cut a new hire's time to productivity by about 25%. And that makes sense, right? Because when they know how their work affects the next person in line, they make fewer mistakes and need way less hand-holding.
And that leads us straight into our third big win: way better collaboration. A great onboarding isn't just about teaching someone what their job is, it's also about introducing them to who they'll need to know to get it done.
So cross-training does this by forging those personal connections right away. It creates real empathy, like when someone from marketing sits with customer support and actually hears the customer's problems. You're basically tearing down those communication walls before they ever get built.
And finally, the fourth win, and honestly, this might be the most important one in the long run: higher employee retention. People don't leave jobs, they leave companies where they don't feel valued or see a future.
And check out this stat, it's just incredible. 94% of employees say they would stay at a company longer if it just invested in their development. And cross-training, right from week 1, is one of the most powerful signals you can send that you're invested in them.
Okay, so the benefits are pretty undeniable, but how do you actually do this? Let's switch gears from the why to the how and look at a few practical steps you can take.
The source lays out some great, really actionable ideas. You can start small with things like structured meet and greets, or you could level up to job shadowing, or maybe assign a mentor from a totally different department. For a deeper dive, you could try some low-stakes mini projects in other teams. And to really tailor it, you can create a personalized learning plan for each new hire.
Now let's be real. This approach isn't a magic bullet, and it does have its challenges, so it's super important to know what the common pitfalls are so you can steer clear of them. But the good news is, for every potential problem, there's a pretty simple solution:
Worried about information overload? Just pace it out over the whole onboarding period. Worried they'll get confused about their actual role? Set really clear learning goals for each activity. And yes, there might be a small productivity dip at first, but you have to frame that as a long-term investment. And to make sure they actually learn their main job, just use an 80-20 rule. 80% on their core role, 20% on this.
Because when you zoom out, this is about so much more than just onboarding. The real goal here is to build a better, stronger company culture, one that's more agile, that's built on continuous learning, and that develops its future leaders from within. It's about turning every new person into a deeply connected, confident contributor.
We really need to stop thinking of onboarding as this little 90-day thing we have to get through. It's not. It is setting the entire trajectory for an employee's career and their total impact at your company.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Cross-training isn't some fluffy, nice-to-have. It is the bridge. It's what takes a person from just joining the company to really belonging to the company.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. When you bring someone new on board, are you just filling an empty box on an org chart, or are you taking the very first step in building the future of your team?